I can hardly wait.
Ain't. There's just going to be a talk today. It's not going to have 3 points in a poem. Well, the only poem I know is Mary Had a Little Lamb. But here's what it is for the next 30 minutes or so. If you don't want to pay attention, let me just go ahead and tell it to you right now so you know. If you and I were the only ones in this room, and I was talking to you one-on-one, something that you just got to know is that God loves you. And you say, well, but how about when I did this or that? Well, how about it? He loves you anyway. But what if I was mean to my friends? He loves you. He just loves you. And there's nothing that you can do about it. God loves you. I think I've said this here before, but here we go again. If God had a refrigerator, your picture would be on it. And it'd actually be on the front. Now, people I love, their pictures on the front of my refrigerator, but there's some over there on the side. But God loves you. And that's it. He likes you. And I can't hardly wait to see him. Kind of scares me to death. You know the song, the trump shall resound and the Lord shall descend. Oh, ooh. That just about scares me to death. But not from a point of view of, well, I'm just not ready. Got to get to where we just can't wait to see him. Look, it's just one page of notes today, so don't get real comfortable. I have a cat. His name is Roberto. He's not much of a cat. Actually, he's a great cat. I get on Facebook and I say bad things about him, but Roberto's a good cat. And I can't hardly wait to get home this evening to see Roberto. I'm going to say, hey, Roberto, how's everything going and everything? And he's going to go, all right. So other things that I just couldn't wait or can't wait, I just want to share a few of them with you. Have you ever just, right now, does anybody in here, now you don't have to tell me or anything, but is there anybody in here right now that's looking forward to something and you just can't wait? You got something coming along. Just can't wait. And man, I look forward to a few things. One of the first time, when I was a kid and we lived in Brazil, and the first time we came back, we flew back and the family's from the Lubbock, Texas area, and we knew we was getting. We look out the plane window and see we're getting closer and everything because the land got so flat. Yeah, out in the Lubbock area, you can stand in your front yard and watch your dog run away for 2 days. It's flat out there. Or else, if you do have a pair of binoculars, you can go out on a still, clear day and be real still and hold those binoculars up to your face, and it's so flat out there, if you wait long enough, you can see the back of your head. So that's flat. That is flat. But I couldn't wait. And I figure everybody else, they couldn't wait either. We were on a Orange Braniff International, a Boeing 727, and that thing came flying in there and landed and taxied up there. And back then, there wasn't all that security stuff and everything. And we could look out the side of the plane and see our family out there kind of spilling over onto the tarmac. Kids, don't crawl up on the plane, just wait till it stops. But here they come. And we had to take our turn to get off the plane, because you never can just get off very fast. But we went over there, and then the can't wait turned into, wow, it's good to see you. Here came the family that we hadn't seen in a couple of years, spilling out there and hugging us and everything. And Grandma Gregson was just bawling and squalling. She always went for the dramatic side, but she cried, and everybody hugged, and my mama's daddy looked at her and said, "Hi, Vernie," and she said, "Hi, Daddy." And then we went to Grandma and Grandpa Vanderveer's house and had a good reunion there and drank Dr. Pepper that they don't have in Brazil, or they didn't then. And boy, I couldn't hardly wait. Other stuff. Can't wait. Can't wait for Christmas. Now then, we're old enough now that we have to actually pay for Christmas, and it's like, oh, joy to the world. And, but Christmas, back in the day, I just couldn't wait for Christmas. Now then, another little show of hands here. At any time in your life, on Christmas Eve night, in the middle of the night, about 2 or 3 in the morning, did you quietly get up and go into the living room to see what you got? Who did it? Oh, y'all did too. You did too? I'm so disappointed. You wouldn't know. Yeah. Or else, did any of you, while your parents were gone, but there was already presents under the tree, have you ever carefully unwrapped it to see what you got? Raise your hand. I did. Oh, you did too. It was your idea. I was in my room studying the Bible. So we did that a couple times, and we did it enough times we realized that shiny paper, you can get that tape off of there, sort of, kind of. Now that flat-looking Dollar Tree paper, the tape will pull right off. But we'd open it up and go, pajamas? Then we'd carefully put it back together and put it back under the tree, and we didn't touch anything. Something else that's still, and I'm still this way, I'm this way right now, but September's coming, I'm going to get on the boat. About every summer, I'm going to get on a Carnival cruise ship. It's what I do. I get on there, and I can't help but look forward to it. I just love to be out in the middle of the ocean where that bank cannot call me. And here we go. Here we go. Can't hardly wait. I remember one cruise I was really looking forward to. I started the countdown about 79 days. That's kind of, you need to stay busier than that. But that was too early. You know, or some of you know, that my youngest son, Will, has been deployed. He's in the Army. He was deployed to Syria until just recently. And worried about that boy. He was in Syria, and he wanted to be in Syria. And I said, why Syria? Why do you want to be there? He says, it's a war zone. Well, thank you for telling me that, son. Why do you want to be in a war zone? You get a patch. I'll go to Dollar General and get you a patch. But he wanted to go. And we really, really, really looked forward to Will getting back home. Can't hardly wait. Turned out he got to come home just a couple of weeks earlier than we thought. And the Army had told us that he was going to be back on April 5th. I think that was a Friday. And Aubrey, his girlfriend, said, well, that's good. I don't want him coming on April 6th because that's prom night. And we were expecting him not to be back, or the prom, because she was a senior, but her parents had bought the dress and got it all ready, and she took a bath, brushed her hair, and she looked real nice. But then, and if you've had any military experience, you know this is just true. At the last minute, they changed their mind, and here he comes on the 6th. Well, Aubrey says, well, I'm just not going to go to the prom. And her parents say, oh, yes, but you are. We paid for this, and they were right. They were out this expense. She's a senior. This is her senior prom. There's memories there that are going to happen, and they wanted her to be there. So I went to Little Rock. Plane landed at Little Rock Air Force Base, and we got the boy, and I brought him home. And I texted him when we were about to get off the interstate, and we got a text back that said they're still out at the country club taking pictures. And so they were all excited. Can't hardly wait. And we drive through town. I asked Will, are you kind of nervous? He said, yeah. And he got to fidgeting with his pocket. He said, good, I got a piece of gum. And got his gum. And his girlfriend says, where are you? Where are you? She said, we'll be there in 2 minutes. And I have a little video. I'll show it to you later if you want to. I was going to show it to you up here, but there's no need for that. But here we come, pulling up into the country club parking lot. And he spotted her before I did. He said, there she is over there. I said, where? That girl jumping up and down. She's over there. And sure enough, I see the video later, and Aubrey's sitting there. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And she's jumping up and down. And she says, I'm going to cry, I'm going to cry. Jumping up and down. And then I circle around. And by the time I got the truck stopped, she about jerked the door off of my truck. Hello. And they hugged, and they hugged, and they hugged. And she said, I don't ever want to let you go. And they hugged some more, and finally Will said, Aubrey, you got to at least let me out of the truck. So she got, I have never seen anybody so excited to see somebody. And wow, they're quite a couple there. And I love them, and I anticipate seeing the both of them this evening. And you know what? I can't hardly wait to see them. All right, let's look over some of the stories from the Bible. Just a little of this, a little of that, just as people that just can't wait. when I first started trying to think of individuals that were excited, I thought, well, how about Jonah getting out of the belly of that fish? He didn't know he was getting out of it. I think the first time he realized he wasn't actually going to die in that fish is when the fish started going, ugh, ugh, and there he was out on the beach, and all of a sudden he went to Nineveh, and then after he preached at Nineveh, the Ninevites are sitting there going, he smelled bad, but he spoke good. He spoke good. And then I thought, oh, how about Daniel in the lion's den? Daniel didn't know that he was going to get out of that lion's den. He just knew that the lions weren't hungry right now. Let's have a brunch in the morning and we'll eat Daniel. He was very still, very quiet, and he could feel the lions around him. And maybe the lions were looking at him like, I don't get it. I haven't eaten since Thursday, but they left him alone. He didn't know he was getting out of there. But then we think about the prodigal son's daddy. Evidently, his daddy had expectations because he was watching for his boy. We know what it's like to watch for our boys or our girls. We know what parental love is. And we know that we just can't stand it when our kids are missing. But that daddy looked out and he saw a familiar figure coming up the road, and he looked like the familiar figure looked like he was practicing his speech. Father, I've sinned against heaven. I'm not worthy to be your son anymore, but make me as a son. Here comes Dad, running in those sandals as fast as you can run in sandals, and ran out there. And the boy starts into his spiel, and Daddy didn't hear none of it. Wow, that's loud. But he hugged him, and that run out there to that boy, he's thinking, I can't hardly wait to hug his neck. Just couldn't hardly wait. Joseph. There in the last part of Genesis, there's several chapters there, the story of Joseph and all that. And then we know that Joseph's brothers come to Egypt to get some grain and so on and so forth. And Joseph recognized them, and they didn't recognize him. And we all know that for a couple of chapters there, he jerked them around. He loved them and everything, but oh no, he he was not easy on them. But then we get down to the end there, where Joseph gets to see his daddy. And he couldn't wait. I can't wait to see my daddy. And he saw him. And it was good. Or else, somewhere around like Genesis 25, Abraham and Sarah more than wanted a child. But there in chapter 25 there, I think it is somewhere, the angel says, well, by this time next year, you will have a son. Can't hardly wait. And then that son was there. And the happiness was there. Oh, and then the story goes on and all like that. And then there's the story of when God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son. And Abraham was willing to do it, and he followed through until just the last second there, sacrificed that son that he loved. And then he was told to stop. I've always sort of kind of wondered, when they got home, Mama comes out and says, "Hey, how'd the trip go?" Be quiet, boy. No, it was all in God's plan, and it was wonderful. Oh, and in Luke chapter 1, that's Luke is just a good book there about an orderly account of everything that transpired. And when Mary finds out she's with child, and she goes to see Elizabeth, who is about 6 months farther along, and then Mary tells Elizabeth, "Going to have a baby?" And they get to talking about all that. But when she says that, the baby in Elizabeth's womb jumped with joy. Can't hardly wait. There's a lot of can't hardlys in the text. I got to get through some of these. Oh, Jacob was looking forward to marrying Rachel. He goes, and you know how the story goes. We're not going to tell the whole thing, but when he gets there and he sees Rachel, he's like, wow. And he is smitten with her. And things just work out really good. And Jacob talks to Laban, and he said, "Well, you work 7 years, you can have her." He said, "All righty then." And he was so in love that the 7 years they just flew by. And so the time came to marry Rachel and have the wedding and all that. And then they have, I guess, the honeymoon, and wake up the next morning, and it's not Rachel. And he "You're Leah." "I know." Well, that didn't go over real good. And but he did get her to Rachel for his wife. And then, you know, once again, all according to God's plan. And it worked out so well. John 14. Let's see here. I'm going to start in verse 2. You're familiar with the text here, but in John 14, and I'll start at verse 2, it says, "In my Father," Jesus speaking here, his red letters here, "In my Father's house are many dwelling places. If it were not so, I would have told you." Listen to this next little phrase here. "For I go to prepare a place for you." And then it goes on. You're familiar with it. You probably have it memorized. I go to prepare a place for you. What? For you. All of you. I'm talking to you. He has gone to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and get you so that you can be where I am. I don't know where you are in your walk with God, But maybe you have not been walking with God in the way that you should. I don't know how many people I've ever heard say, it's too late for me. I've just been too bad. And my mind wanders off, and I hang out with the wrong people, and I do okay on Sunday, but come Monday afternoon, you're not listening. I go and prepare a place for you. God has plans for you, and I just can't hardly wait. If we are trying to live right, but that whole thought says, if fear is bigger than the anticipation, you might want to give that some thought. It's not a long journey back to God. That prodigal son might have had to walk a good ways. I don't know how far off he was, but he had to make a journey back. And I'm telling you something right here, right now, and I will go so far as to say, I'm not wrong on this. If your life ain't right now, it can be right by the time you go back out that door. God moves in a mysterious way. Forgiveness is big in Him. There is just so much that He can do. And His love for you is paramount. For God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, that whoever believes in Him shall not perish, but have eternal life. Like our brother said a few minutes ago in communion, don't mess with my son. And if you do mess with my son, he might be the scary army man, but Daddy will visit with you. In Christian love, of course. But I like that. Whoever believes in Him shall not perish. That's you. That's me. And I'll tell you straight up, I'm glad I live in Arkansas and you live in Oklahoma, because I mess up. I do mess up. And I want to be right, but there's periods where I give up. And like, God can't love a wretch like me. Well, you know, He didn't ask my opinion on it. In 1 John chapter 3, it says, how great is the love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. And that is what we are. There's a few children in here right now. Well, there's a lot more in the other building, or through that wall. You have no idea how treasured you are. And you are. I might know your folks, I might not know your folks. But if some of you children are age 80 or so or down, a child of God. He has lavished love upon you, and it's okay when you're not perfect. The text says, love the Lord your God with all of your heart. And it says, it didn't say be perfect. It said, love the Lord your God with all of your. What I can do and what you can do might be different. We might just blow each other out of the water one way or another. Jeremiah said, I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with loving kindness. Oh, here's one that I wanted to share. You're familiar with it. Romans 5:8. And then you go, oh yes, I'm familiar with it. But God demonstrates His own love for us. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. You know why He did that? Because He can't hardly wait to see you. There is nobody in this room too lost for God. That first phrase there, while we were yet sinners. While we were yet sinners. While we were still steeped in it. While we were still wading around in the bog of sin. Before we even thought about salvation. Christ died for us. And it's going to be okay. Just get going God's direction, because He can't hardly wait to see you. Jesus wants to see you too. I think the Father wanted to see Jesus when in Acts, where he ascended back into heaven there, and all the yuckiness was over on earth, and He could welcome Jesus back home. So, as I finish my words here, and as Amy comes to lead us in song, I want you to know Jesus wants to see you. Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. It does not say, I might. It says, I will give you. Come unto me. So what I'm saying to you this morning is, come home if you're not at home. It's okay. It's okay to come home. If you find yourself in a situation where you're not comfortable with the anticipation that the Lord is returning, you got some mighty good elders here. Got some mighty good brothers and sisters here that you can talk to. They'll pray with you. They'll pray for you. They'll do whatever they can to help you. Because the main thing in this life is this spiritual journey. Do we stand up now, or? Yeah. Well, y'all stand up, because we're going to sing a song now. It's okay